Hi guys, my name's Fred14, also known as Freddy Pemble, and today we're going to be talking about Tokyo Ghoul, focusing on Kaneki and why his hair changes all throughout the series, all three parts as I call it. So, one thing I want to start off with is I'm going to be going over two theories that I found out online, and I'm going to be, talking about them and basically going over them and seeing if I agree, if I don't agree. I do agree with one of them, the other one not so much, and you'll be able to see where I go with this. So the first one I'm going to talk about is that his hair changes because of the mindset he's in, or how much he accepts being a ghoul. So in the first season, of course, you have Kaneki, human, gets in a fight. Well, not a fight. He gets attacked by Rize. Rize gets killed by falling steel. Dies. Kaneki's critically wounded. Organs from Rize into Kaneki, becomes a ghoul. Becomes a one-eyed ghoul, half-breed. And through that, he doesn't really accept it until the end, where Yamori, where he's being tortured by Yamori, and just before the fight, literally just before the fight, the CCG are attacking the Algidi base, and Yamori is about to kill Kaneki because he's also got to go off and fight the CCG, and Kaneki, in his head, because he's having a I like to call it a mind scene with Rize, who's also in his head. He just at the end of that, he's talking with Rize, and next thing you know, Rize's he's pinned Rize down. That's out of context. That's way out of context. He's basically consumed he's controlling the animalistic and the instinct of the ghoul side of him, and he's accepting being a ghoul. He's finally accepted, I am a ghoul. He says that in the mind part right at the end, before it cuts back to the real world and facing Arima, not Arima, Yamori. He sits there and he finally says, I am a ghoul, and then he fights Yamori. But one problem that I have with that is that after that, in season 3 and 4, basically Tokyo Ghoul he knows he's a ghoul and he accepts being a ghoul. He knows all the way through that he's a ghoul, yet his hair is still changing. At the start of his hair is white, but it's got, from where the crown is, it's slowly growing out black, so he's slowly changing like that, which I'll get into the other theory in a minute. So that's where it doesn't line up. If it lined up where at the start of season 3 that he didn't know he was a ghoul and he was unsure, he didn't know, say like instead of him thinking he was a ghoul, he thought he was a quinx, and he slowly learns that he's a ghoul, then that would maybe have made sense. But unfortunately, that isn't the case. He knows he's a ghoul all the way up. Season 3 happens, and he already knows he is a ghoul. He's not a quinx, he's not human. No, he is a ghoul. He knows it. No matter what, he knows that he is not part. He is not a human, where that the theory we're just talking about doesn't line up. So the next theory I'm going to talk about is whose side he's on, and this is the one I kind of agree with slightly. There are a few ups and downs, so it's not not really whose side he's on, it's more what his goal is. So when he was black hair Kaneki, first season 1 black hair, he didn't really like ghouls too much, didn't coexist with them well. Most ghouls he met with that were outside of Anteku either tried to kill him or fought him. They disagreed somehow. So most ghouls that he met outside of Anteku were evil to him in a sense, so he didn't agree with them. When he became white-haired Kaneki just after the Yamori fight, his goal was to protect. He wanted to protect, and my memory's a bit hazy, but I believe that he also wanted to find a way to bring humans and ghouls together. He even says in the fight with Amon, the final fight in Amon in the raid, he even says, if the circumstances are different, Amon says, if the circumstances were different, I'd love to have a cup of coffee with you. And I'm sitting there, when I first saw this, I'm thinking, that's what he wanted. He just took a different path and wanted to become stronger to defend them. Now, you don't really know the context too much. And of course, they kind of butted heads, and he kind of got a bit more powerful, became a half Kakuja, messed it up a little bit. That doesn't matter. So the goal was still the same. He wanted to protect his friends at Anteku. He wanted to protect Anteku. But the overall goal of him, his overall goal, he wanted humans and ghouls to coexist. He somehow wanted those the two species to be able to coexist together without the fear of someone getting killed or someone dying. Like, yeah, if there are, and I can see that happening easily. That I can see many ways that would work, but also I also see the other where it also helps out with the other side of things when it comes to season 3 and 4. Kaneki still, he collects his memories. He's gone back to, he's kind of nearly all CCG every time he comes up with someone that remembers Kaneki, because of course Kaneki is actually he's in the Heise state, if you get what I mean. But every time that he's kind of Heise people who remember him as Kaneki. So you have people like Hinami, Tsukiyama, Nishiki. He shows up in the second, third episode of season 3. Nishiki, a couple more, I can't really remember too well. They all remember him as Kaneki, and he's kind of, at the start, he doesn't really know who Kaneki is. He remembers the voice in his head, or the other side of him, as just someone else, another version of Heise. He doesn't know that as Kaneki, he just knows that as that other guy who tries to take over his body every now and then. Sorry, veering off track again. So yeah, he's mostly CCG. The reason and that also kind of gives me makes me believe that why his hair is partially white, partially black. It's white. He still wants to save these ghouls that remember his past self, so he'll put them in captivity instead of outright murdering them. But as soon as he gains his memories back, and he becomes what most people call the Black Reaper Kaneki, where his hair goes all black. He remembers his past, and that the first thing he does in that state as Black Reaper Kaneki is he goes up to Tsukiyama, who's not pinned up against the wall. He's up against the wall trying to rest after he's literally just been run through by Kaneki. And Kaneki looks at him and goes, "Hi, Tsukiyama," and then runs him through straight through the chest, or straight through the stomach, and he just passes out. That part, that solidified most of the theory for me when I was thinking about this, because yes, his hair's all black. He's completely with the CCG now. He's completely thinking about the CCG. Then later on, when he's as soon as he gets quite short, not later on, it's literally the couple episodes later, when he goes into the fight with Arima, he's halfway through the fight with Arima, his hair goes back to white. He remembers his whole stuff. He's talked to Toka. He's met back. He remembers Toka. He remembers everyone from his past, and he finally figures out, I want to protect everyone, and I want humans and ghouls to be able to coexist like I wanted to do a couple of years ago. And then his hair goes back to white, and he realizes, oh, I want that to happen again. And then, of course, he gets run through by Arima. Arima says, says you've won this, and then Kaneki says, no, you have. And then Arima proceeds to kill himself, which is a whole different episode. I'm going to get back into that later. I'll get into that into a different episode, or into a different video. So that's where that's why his hair changed again, because he realized, I want humans and ghouls to coexist. He wants them to be able to live together without any, like, no problems, or with minimal problems, so they can, you know, ghouls won't be marginalized by like a different group, which is what I actually, that's why I believe in it so much, because that was his ideal all the way through. He wanted to be the bridge between humans and ghouls. He wanted to be the thing that brings them together. Sorry. So that's why it solidified it for me. And then at the end, he's finally brought them together, humans and ghouls fighting together to defeat Dragon and defeat Faruta, who's been a big annoyance and decided to unleash Dragon upon everyone. But he's finally realized, I can bring them both together, and it ends up happening. And then he's still got the white hair and everything. So that's that's the theory I agree with, because it all lines up throughout the series, throughout all 4 seasons, throughout all 3 parts, throughout Tokyo Ghoul, Tokyo Ghoul Route A, Tokyo Ghoul Re. It lines up, because that's what he wanted in the end game. The end game was, he wanted that, and in the end he got it. He became the bridge between humans and ghouls. He finally stopped all the marginalization of ghouls and finished the killing of all ghouls, and he finally got what he wanted, which is, you know, that's why his hair turned white, because he wanted that to happen. That's what side he was on, and he finally got that to happen. And then there you go, it happened. So that's the one I agree with wholeheartedly. I think that there are a few gaps in it that you could probably pick out for me. If you do, I'll comment them in below, make a comment below, and I'll sure to find a way to debunk it. Or if I see that point, I'll go for it. And I'll accept that one. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Comment on any anime that I should watch or should do a theory on next, or do a discussion on. I don't mind. And then I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye, and see you in the next one.